Welcome back to Hate Watchers. Today we're going over Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, the 6 short animated episodes recently released on Disney+. We're doing a quick, informal breakdown of each episode, as well as an overall review at the end. So no stupid jokes today, just the facts. Let's get into it. Spoilers ahead. We start off episode 1 called Life and Death, seeing the birth of Ahsoka Tano. As part of a rite of passage following her birth, her mother has to take her out and kill some animal. While getting ready to dress the animal, a jungle cat sneaks up on them and ends up running off with Ahsoka. Ahsoka, OP as always, ends up soothing the beast before it eats her and convinces the animal to carry her back into town as she rides in on its back. It's kinda lame to be honest, she's like 3 days old. She really shouldn't be able to do this. At least wait until she's like 5 for her to be able to do things like this. Anyway, they're happy that Ahsoka is back and the village elder says, "Jedi, Ahsoka is Jedi." So the theme here was contrasting new life with necessary death that will in turn fuel the life within their village. And baby Ahsoka is shown to be very innately strong with the Force early on. Now, this may be a hot take to a lot of people who don't seem to see what's going on with this character, but I don't really care for Ahsoka. It's a conversation for another time, and one that I'm sure we'll have when the Ahsoka live-action show comes out. Moving on, it was cool to see this Togruta village. I don't know if this is their home planet of Sheely, it's never really said. Overall, this was a fine episode, nothing memorable. You'll like this one if you're an Ahsoka fan, as you get to see her birth, as well as the circumstances around how they discovered she had Force sensitivity. Moving to episode 2 entitled Justice, we see a young Qui-Gon Jinn and Count Dooku looking for a senator's son in a rundown village on an unnamed planet. It turns out the people have taken him hostage because the senator has let his people down. Despite being a hostage, the son is sympathetic to the people's plight. The senator shows up to save his son and Dooku stands up against him.
Step aside, Jedi.
We cannot. Stand down.
I will not.
A firefight breaks out and Dooku and Qui-Gon defend the villagers. Dooku shows his first signs of the dark side when he starts choking the senator, but the son and Qui-Gon stop him. The son is returned to the senator, and Dooku wonders if his and Qui-Gon's actions will make any difference for these people. We then get a touching moment between Dooku and Qui-Gon, and the episode ends. This was a great episode. We see the first cracks starting to show in Dooku, and it adds some needed depth to the character. He didn't just get seduced to the dark side in the pursuit of power and personal gain. He was driven there while trying to do the right thing for the people. It was also great to see a young Qui-Gon Jinn under Dooku's tutelage. The music helped a lot, but this episode was able to turn this tiny, inconsequential event into the most dramatic Star Wars scene since Luke showing up in Season 2 of Mando. Moving to Episode 3 entitled Choices, we see Mace Windu and Dooku on a ship. Dooku is wanting to investigate a Jedi's recent death further as it seems fishy, and he wants to do more, but the Council demands that he not investigate further. Dooku is suspicious of the senator who the Jedi died protecting, while Windu is being a stickler for the rules laid out by the Jedi Council. Dooku investigates the scene of the attack and deduces that the senator was responsible for the Jedi's death, drawing his lightsaber as Mace Windu tells him to stand down. He's wrong though, as the guards were responsible and they open fire, killing the senator. Dooku and Windu fight back, killing the guards and droids, leaving one guard alive to question. It turns out this senator was corrupt like the last one, and the guards were just fighting back against this corruption. Dooku is sympathetic to the assailants and tells them to keep fighting. We see a Jedi funeral in the temple. Dooku is lost in thought and speaks to Windu, who's been given a seat on the council, and Dooku feels spurned. Well, this was another great episode. We see a common theme showing the plight of everyday people under apathetic politicians, and this seems to be what sent Dooku off the edge eventually and out of the Jedi Order. There's a stark contrast shown between Dooku and Windu, with Dooku wanting to bend the rules to do the right thing, and Windu just wanting to follow orders. It's also cool to see their shared history that adds depth to their interaction in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Moving to Episode 4 entitled The Sith Lord, we see Dooku sneaking around the Jedi Temple library impersonating Sifo Dyas to access the Jedi Temple archives. The library looks incredible, by the way. So, we finally got to see how the planet Kamino was erased from the Jedi archives as Obi-Wan discovered in Attack of the Clones. We hear that Qui-Gon has encountered a Sith Lord, and this is his run-in with Maul on Tatooine from the Phantom Menace. Dooku is continuing to become disillusioned with the Jedi Order's way. Qui-Gon, voiced by Liam Neeson, is all grown up and walking with Master Yaddle. Dooku asks Jin about the Sith Lord and says he's been warning about the coming darkness for years. There's an Obi-Wan name drop, and Dooku says he would like to meet him one day. Don't worry, you will. Jumping ahead, we get an incredible scene with the great tree in the Jedi Temple. The music is killer right here.
I used to bring Qui-Gon here as a boy.
We learn that Qui-Gon was born on Coruscant, which I think might be new information. But more importantly, we learn that Qui-Gon has died, and Dooku is struggling with it, and in Yaddle's eyes, he's accepting it coldly. Yaddle follows Dooku in a ship where she sees Dooku meet with Palpatine, and Dooku tells him he's gone too far. Dooku bemoans the loss of his former apprentice, but Palpatine makes a good point that both have now lost an apprentice with Maul's death. Yaddle listens in as Dooku now questions his dark actions. Yaddle steps out to confront them and requests Dooku help her now against Palpatine despite all that he's done. Palpatine, always manipulative, tells Dooku to kill her and reminds Dooku of how the Republic has failed its people. Dooku says it's too late to save him like Vader said to Luke, and he and Yaddle duel. She eventually disappears and talks to Dooku from the shadows like Luke did with Vader. Dooku slams a door down on her face and Papa Palpatine is proud, but it turns out that Yaddle lives. She's weak though, and Dooku has to execute his former friend, which pleases Papa Palpy. This was a truly incredible episode. We see Dooku truly past the point of no return, the last embers of good in him extinguished as he pursues what he believes to be a righteous cause. Seeing Dooku straying away from the Jedi Order, seeing him struggle with Qui-Gon's death, this is what Star Wars fans want to see. And it's part of what makes the Disney era of Star Wars so frustrating. There's so many stories like this that they could explore, but instead they allocate their time and money to showing us a season of Boba Fett just non-stop talking, and Reva, who no one cares about, being invincible. Do more of this, Disney.
I'm afraid it is too late.
Now, this is a deviation from Yaddle's death in Legends, which was pretty cool itself, but this is even better in my opinion as it serves to add to Dooku's story and depth. Jumping to episode 5 called Practice Makes Perfect, we're on Coruscant where Mace Windu, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin are watching Ahsoka train. Deepa Billaba and Kanan Jarrus are here because Disney gotta do Disney things and make the universe too small. Ahsoka beats a difficult test, but Anakin won't praise Ahsoka, and she gets emotional, but Anakin is just disappointed in the test itself. So Anakin comes up with his own test. Captain Rex and some clone troopers conduct the test, and Ahsoka makes it about 5 shots in before she's knocked out. Anakin pushes her to keep going again and again.
Come on, let's go again. Let's go again. 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 All right, boys. Let's go again.
Ahsoka gets frustrated, and Anakin makes it clear he wants her to be prepared for anything. So it's clear that this is just being set up to provide some background for Ahsoka surviving Order 66. Ahsoka is starting to improve, but then she starts using 2 sabers, and the show treats this decision like she's saying, okay, now I'm taking it seriously. But this would just make it easier, so it's kinda stupid. The episode cuts forward to the aftermath of Order 66, where Rex says let's hope your training pays off to Ahsoka as they enter the hangar, where a bunch of clone troopers are waiting to capture them, as we saw in the season finale of Season 7 of the Clone Wars. This was a good episode, and it's designed to hit you right in the feels. It's never a bad idea to get some background on how somebody survived Order 66. Also, this episode is about 4 minutes long, so there's that. Moving to the 6th and final episode entitled Resolve, we open up with Padme's funeral where Ahsoka, now out of the Jedi Order, is sneaking around. Bail Organa tells her there's nothing Ahsoka could have done for either Padme or Anakin, who's now turned to the dark side. A clone patrol comes around and the two flee, and then Bail gives her a beeper so she can page him if she ever needs help. Ahsoka is able to avoid the clones, and Captain Rex is waiting at Ahsoka's ship, the Y-Wing they escaped the Venator in during the Clone Wars finale, and they take off. Ahsoka is helping some farmers, and this hay topples over on top of a girl, but Ahsoka saves her by secretly using the Force. Ahsoka gets invited to sit with the cool kids where the farmers are debating if Palpatine was good for the galaxy. The girl she saved now knows that Ahsoka's a Jedi, and her brother, who was pro-Papa Palpatine, is eavesdropping. Ahsoka and the girl return to the village, which is on fire. A hooded, masked figure is threatening the last survivors with his red lightsaber. Turns out the girl's brother turned Ahsoka into this Inquisitor, who then tries to kill the brother, but Ahsoka saves him. The Inquisitor ignites the second half of his blade and approaches Ahsoka, who he knows by name. She takes his saber from him and kills him in half a second, and there we get another great example of Ahsoka being way too OP. So we get to see Ahsoka one-shot an Inquisitor, but we have to sit through a stupid, out-of-character, drawn-out duel between Vader and Reva? Come on, give me a break. Bail arrives on a ship to help the survivors off-world. Ahsoka says she's ready to get back into the fight against the Empire, and the episode ends. This was a decent episode. It might have been more highly rated without this one shot by Ahsoka. Well, it's time to decide if Tales of the Jedi is a great watch or a hate watch, and I'm pleased to say this is a great watch. I definitely recommend you go and watch it for yourself. The animation was great as it always has been, done in the Clone Wars and Bad Batch style. The music was incredible. Star Wars needs epic music to really bring everything together and ramp it up to the next level, and it was on point for these short episodes. The subject matter was relevant, and it was a cool way to fill us in on some other things that were going on during the more important events that we've seen before, some unseen events from this period of time in the Star Wars universe. The biggest takeaway from Tales of the Jedi is that Dooku needs his own live-action show, focused on young Dooku and how he became disillusioned with the Republic, and how he was actually wanting to help people who were being neglected by the government. You only need to see 12 seconds of Episode 2 during the standoff to realize he needs his own show. He could be such a sympathetic character if done correctly, and people would love that show, trust me. All in all, maybe the success of this Tales of the Jedi series just proves that Disney can actually put out good Star Wars content when it's in short bursts and there's not much writing involved. Although it should be noted that they're still just utilizing existing characters and time periods created by George Lucas and Lucasfilm before Disney got involved, so let's not give Disney too much credit. I had little to no expectations for this series, so this was a pleasant surprise, and most everyone's in agreement that Tales of the Jedi was great. Thanks for joining us on this quick review of Tales of the Jedi. Comment below, what did you think of these short episodes? Do you enjoy these more informal reviews without the jokes? We plan to stick to the comedy reviews for shows that release weekly, but it's a bit more time consuming and impractical for a short series like this that drops all at once. Either way, let us know in the comments. Please remember to hit that thumbs up and red subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you again, and we'll catch you on the next one.